Today's objective is I can determine a fraction of a set by using visuals. So this is day 2 of fraction of a set for 4th grade. So our numbers are going to start to get a little bit bigger, but we are still going to be using the same strategy as yesterday. Anaya played at recess for 42 minutes. She spent 1/7 of her recess playing tag. How many minutes did she spend playing tag? The first thing I want to do when I'm given a word problem is I want to reread it, I want to mark up my problem, and I want to really understand what's going on. So I'm going to kind of picture what's happening in my head. So Anaya played at recess for 42 minutes. She spent 1/7 of her recess playing tag. Then my final question asks me, how many minutes did she spend playing tag? So I'm picturing Anaya and she's playing at recess for 42 minutes. So not a full hour, but close to it. She spends 1/7 of her time, so 1/7 of the 42 minutes playing tag. And the other time she's playing something else. I want to find out how many minutes she spent playing tag. So let's take a look at our fraction of a set anchor chart and use our steps to solve. So my first step, draw and shade a visual for the fraction. So our fraction here is 1/7. So the first thing I want to do is draw 1/7. Anytime we're drawing a fraction, we start by drawing our whole. The next thing I need to do is split up my whole into equal pieces. So to find out how many equal pieces we need to split our whole into, we look at our denominator. My denominator here is 7. So I'm going to split this whole into 7 equal pieces. The next thing I need to do is shade in. So to figure out how many pieces I need to shade in, I look at my numerator. My numerator here is 1, so we're only going to shade in 1 piece. So now I have 1/7 drawn and shaded. All right, back to our anchor chart. My second step is to label all parts of the visual. So we've got a few things going on here. I've got my shaded piece. I have my unshaded pieces. And we have our total. So first I'll label total. And to label each piece, we really need to know what's going on in the problem. So I know that Anaya played at recess for 42 minutes. She spent 1/7 of her recess playing tag. So this one piece that we shaded, this 1/7, this is the time that she spends playing tag. So I'm just going to write tag. Now the rest of my picture, or the rest of these pieces, this is just time that she wasn't playing tag. So I'm just going to write no tag. Now we have our total time split into 2 different sections. Time that she spent playing tag and time that she was not playing tag. Back to our anchor chart. My next step, step 3, is to label my total. So my total I get from the problem. So go back to your problem to find the total. Anaya played at recess for 42 minutes. This is going to be our total time spent at recess, 42 minutes. Now we know how much time she spent, 42 minutes. We know that she played tag for some of the time and not tag or no tag for the rest of the time. So back to our anchor chart, step 4. Next, I need to determine the number that goes in each group. Anytime we hear those words in each group, or if we're talking about equal groups, then my mind goes immediately to our blanks. Blank times blank equals blank. And we've used these blanks to help us set up our multiplication and division problems all throughout 4th grade. So this is very familiar to us. We're experts to setting up these blanks by now. So I can label these blanks to help me figure out what to put in each spot. My first blank is going to be my number in each group. My second blank, this is going to be my number of groups, or my denominator. So remember, our denominator, that tells us how many equal groups we have when we're talking about fractions. So our denominator, that's the same thing as how many groups, how many equal groups we have. And then our last blank is going to be our total. So now we can go ahead and fill in what we know. So I know my total. My total is 42 minutes. I know what my denominator is. We can go back to our problem. Our denominator is 7, or I could count how many boxes we drew, 7 boxes. Now, number in each, that's what I do not know yet. That's what we need to solve for. So anytime we have a missing factor, and a total, we can solve using the inverse operation. So I asked myself, what's the opposite operation of multiplication? Division. So we can flip-flop this equation and take 42, divide that into 7 equal groups to find out how many in each group. So we're solving for how much goes in each group. So 42 divided by 7, we could do this a few different ways. We could skip count by 7. We could use the bank method. We could use circles and dots, whatever you want. So the way that I'm going to solve 42 divided by 7 is I'm going to skip count by 7 until I get to 42. Then I'm going to see how many times I skip counted to find my answer. So let's skip count by 7s. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, and I stopped there because we reached our total. So now I just count how many times we skip counted to get to 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 42 divided by 7 is 6. And we can plug that back into our multiplication problem to check our work. So I plug 6 back in. 6 times 7 is 42. So that is correct. Now we can go ahead and fill in the rest of our picture. So we just solved how many in each group, and we got 6 minutes in each group. Now we're going to go back to our steps to solve so we can finish up this problem. So now we're at step 5. Solve for answer by finding the amount shaded or unshaded based on my final question. So we've got 2 things going on here. We have time she spent playing tag and time that she spent not playing tag. So we go back to our final question to see what we need to solve for. My final question says, how many minutes did she spend playing tag? So we're looking at the time spent playing tag. That's going to be 1 equal group, which is equal to 6. So she spends 6 minutes playing tag. I go to my answer choices. A says 4, B is 6, C is 7, D is 10. So we got our final answer is B, 6 minutes. All right, we are all finished with this problem. Awesome job, 4th grade. You can go ahead and take out your paper and pencil, go to the next video, and we're gonna do a problem together.